Hi there, welcome to some of the latest discussions within the Noah Presgrove case and community. This time round, I'm going to be giving my own thoughts and reactions to some important questions and discussions on the Reddit page and look at some of the responses too. I thought it's best doing that to catch up there, considering did quite a deep, important video last night to do with the timeline of Rene Milan based around Kaden Pressy's timeline himself. If you are interested in that type of stuff with the usage of maps, a visual analysis of it all, breaking down key events bit by bit so it makes it a bit easier to learn, because this case is quite complex at times, be sure to catch up on last night's video. You'll find the link top right corner of the screen right now where the I symbol is. Click there, you'll find it, and also the full playlist to do with all the videos that I've done on this case. You don't want to miss out. Welcome to those that are currently here in this live premiere. Share your thoughts and opinions in the live chat box on the right hand side of the screen. And at the end of this video, you want to share your additional thoughts or questions, whether you're watching on catch up or not. Let me know in the comment section down below. You'll also find a pinned comment by me with additional links if you do want to support this channel. Big shout out to Skeptical, Cleo, for example, last night for their support on this channel, whether it be the gifted membership or the super chat here and there in the background, much appreciated. And as well, shout out to the individual in the background elsewhere, such as PayPal, you know who you are. Shout out to them, good individual. So with that all being said, let's focus in on the Reddit page right now to see what's been going on. Here we are, so I've got it adjusted to the latest post. We'll start from the top, work our way down. This is by Lovey, 1 hour ago. No comments at the moment, but I'm sure by the time I've finished doing my video later, people will comment. So let me get my thoughts in right now and see what's going on here. Lovey says, does anyone know if Isaac Rojas, party goer, still has the gun that was seen in the party footage where he was basically in the background with Avery and Noah was with Brylin at the front where Brylin slapped Noah? That one. That gun's supposedly a 12 gauge shotgun from what Kaden Pressy said, or at least a shotgun in general. But let me just return back to what Lovey says here. Does he still have that gun till this day? If he had gotten rid of it, on that basis, it would be interesting to know, since the wound on Noah's head was shaped possibly like the butt of a gun, the stock area, where you'd rest it into your shoulder. Also, wasn't he the most upset? According to Kaden Pressy, I'm just curious, perhaps he witnessed something awful or was an active member of whatever happened. I'm leaning on him being a witness, not a suspect, but we don't know. Any thoughts? So in terms of whether he's got the firearm still or not, I wouldn't know personally. I wouldn't be surprised if he still has it, because depending on how long he had that gun before the party, if it's kind of fresh, newish, it should be able to last. People do collect firearms, even if they stop working, they'll probably still save them. Some people may get them repaired or restored. I don't think they would be chucking them away that fast, unless it was used for other purposes in between, or such as at the party. It is true that Isaac was really the only one out of all the party footage what we've seen of him holding a visible firearm. Yet we've not seen any others. But it's been stated that there were firearms at the party. Still not answered as to how many were present. As for Jack Newton's AR-15, you can actually see his firearm on his Facebook profile account. I think it might be his channel art background. If it's not been changed already, you can clearly see it. So that's worth taking into mind. Why are we directly focusing on Isaac's gun possibly being used in the death of Noah? I guess it's because it's the only one what we've seen in the media, the footage itself. Other people had firearms at the party. Their firearms could have been responsible too, by the hands of the owners or someone else. I mean, guns can be problematic only when the wrong person is behind using one, directly for firing and shooting, or maybe in this case, based on a murder theory, being whacked or clubbed to death. You've seen it in movies where people have been knocked out by the stock of a rifle with enough force. You can even pistol whip people too. Don't matter. You've got a solid object. Blunt force injury can cause internal damage. And depending on how hard, how fast, and how many times you may whack someone. The injuries can vary, and what angle you strike from. And I think we might have done a video about this in the past, so you can always check it out yourself. From a certain angle, it could glance or it could catch. Whether it gets caught up in the hair or not, that's another question, and then cause that tearing. But there would be a fair bit of force for that type of stuff to happen, right? But anyway, besides the question of whether he still has it or not, in terms of, according to Kaden, that Isaac was visibly the most upset, I don't know if I would say he was the most upset, because at the time, Kaden was saying how all the girls were crying quite a lot in the kitchen area. So they were visibly upset too. So I don't think there's like a standout individual. If you used to compare it between Kaden, Pressy and Jack Newton in recent time or so through interviews, although one is vocal, verbal, and Kaden shows his face, so you can check for body language and behaviour, and Jack only did it audio over a call, partners in true crime related. It appeared that Kaden seemed more upset, more emotional about the situation and recalling the events. As for Jack, sounded a bit pre-programmed, a bit robotic. Now everybody reacts differently and everyone expresses their emotions differently, but if you're just giving a simple observation, one shows more emotion than the other, and it just so happens that the one that shows more emotion is just a friend to Noah. The best friend seems more numb in a way, or just monotone, if you want to call it that. I mean, some people could say to me that I could sound monotone, but at the end of the day, that's the definition of balance. Also, I'm not emotionally connected to this case. So yeah, I can do more, I can look at more, but as well, in terms of the voice, it just explains it and it's normal. But if you're within the case or you know Noah, how you react, maybe there is a bit of a magnetizing effect on it from the general public who will look into it and question. Sometimes it's right, other times it's wrong. People react differently, but still, it seems like Kaden was talking more freely and openly. As for Jack, it sounded a little bit more linear and with certain stuff which may not have been able to be answered or he didn't want to. It was just brushed off, I don't know. Or follows on with a certain story or claim and then brushes it off with, actually, I don't know. So there's that. We're going a bit off subject. As for Isaac, can't really comment too much on him in terms of his behaviour online because I've not seen any post or comments made, but maybe that's because it's way back in the past. I haven't seen it though, just saying. Could Isaac have seen something bad? And that's one of the reasons why he was upset at the scene. I mean, this is the thing, when it comes to people being upset at times, because it's a saddening event, something bad's happened, you're touched by it, you love someone or love something, and bad things have happened, so you're expressing your emotions that way. Sometimes it can be a defense mechanism as well. But then you get a handful of people out there that may cry for other reasons, whether it be faking it to gain favour, sympathy, or appear normal in a way to blend in if you are responsible for something. And then other people may cry because they're showing a form of innocence, but more so a form of guilt because they've been holding something back, repressing it within their mind, and it's got too much and they've kind of reached a breaking point. Do any of them apply to Isaac? Well, I can't say for sure. It comes across as, Isaac's behaviour is normal, of course. I'm not really seen enough to compare, contrast. Do I think Isaac's responsible? No, not at this moment in time. I mean, if you're going to say Kaden Pressy is 100% innocent, some of the other guys could be somewhat close to being as innocent as Kaden, just based off the sleeping situation. Now, I know there might be some questions regarding that. I always get mixed up with the names. Was it Isaac, Rojas, and Mikey? Or was it Brylan and Mikey? Kaden Pressy said two of those guys switched places when sleeping, and that was noticed the difference from 2:42 upon waking up, when initially the mother to Kaden called him, but then also at 5:15 when woken up once again by Jack, supposedly announcing the news of Noah. And when Kaden was awoken on both occasions, hours apart, he noticed from like A to B, two of the guys switched places in between. Now, why would you do that? That would imply that they've both woken up, moved about for a short time or longer. That is a little bit questionable. So you can let me know your thoughts down below. But I can't come to a definitive conclusion yet with Isaac because that would be rushed. But, you know, some interesting questions there. If Isaac still has his firearm with him, you could also apply that question to other partygoers. Do they have their firearms with them still? Were any of them sold on? Were any disposed of? What else do we have? Facebook post by Witty Hawk 4 hours ago. I can see exclamation marks, warning, warning, bright red. Could this be the person that types in capital letters because they've got problems with their vision? Maybe. So I don't think we need to do it in a shouty tone today. But this is a social media post, I believe, from Facebook. Came across it on one of the Noah Presgrove pages. One. Are you talking about the army page, the justice page, or some other smaller group? Not sure if I could leave the names, so I covered them. Fairly easy to find out if you'd like to see the post. Easy to find out. Is it easy to find out if you haven't given the name of the actual Facebook page? Or maybe it's listed below. Does anyone know if what's being said on this post is true? Who are the two missing people from the list? Right, can I click on that? Will it allow me? Hey, look at that, it's zoomed in. I don't really have to do much myself, so it's easier to read. And maybe times like this, it's good that it's in capital letters, the exception. So this person says, let's play a fun little memory game. Who was the one that had bloody knuckles, a deep bite mark on his hand? Questions, explanations. Whose hand got infected? Who wouldn't go to Dr. Raff or some other doctor because they were scared there would be a record of the injury and bite mark? I see where this is going. Which adult found antibiotics for them to take to clear up the infection? Anyone got what it takes to answer the first game question and go game on? This comes across as a little bit childish in a way. Now, it's probably innocent but also done with passion. If this is the individual that has the vision problems, so that's why they type in capital letters, they really care about the case, fair enough. But when it comes into a bit of a game show, mind games, crypticness, fiddling, riddles, whatever you want to call it, it reminds me of the Kenny Veach case where the ex-girlfriend said, oh, this is so exciting, I'll let you know if you're too close to the truth or not. Who would say that? So, can we work out this bit by bit? Well, I'll just do it based off what I may know of, okay? So just bear with me. Who was the one that had bloody knuckles and a deep bite mark on his hand? Well, in terms of bloody knuckles or grazed knuckles, that would be Noah Presgrove. But in terms of a bite mark, I don't remember seeing that. But the only possible bite mark I could think of is Mikey Lair. As for Mikey, he's the one that supposedly fish hooked Noah at the party because he couldn't find his phone. Supposedly, Kaden Pressy was sleeping or resting and covering up the phone. When fish hooked, Noah decided to bite Mikey's finger. That would explain the bite mark. But I don't remember seeing Mikey with bloody knuckles, only Noah. And how it's worded here, it's a individual that had bloody knuckles and a bite mark. Weird. Whose hand got infected? Infected by the bloody knuckles or the bite mark? The bite mark, Mikey. The knuckles, Noah. Who wouldn't go to the doctor because they were scared there would be a record of the injury and bite mark relating to Noah? Why would they be scared anyway if it traces back to them when, considering the timing of when it happened, if it could be matched up with a timestamp, was before Noah wandered off, before Noah died. It shouldn't really matter. Just like the writing on Noah's body. You know, if there was an obsession, oh, we need to clean it off, we need to scrub the names off, why should it matter? There is video proof and footage of you writing on his body, those particles in question, that did it on the Saturday. Noah died on the Monday. So it's not going to directly link together. Just because a person's got writing on the body of certain names doesn't mean they're going to be seen as the killer. It's like if a person went to a bloody tattoo shop and got a tattoo on the nipple with a name inscribed of the tattoo place and then wandered off and then a few days later got crushed by a melon, right? Oh, we need to trace it back to the tattoo place. They're responsible for spawning a giant melon and crushing someone. I don't think so. No, a bit weird. And which adult found antibiotics for them to take to clear up the infection? Which adult? I don't know personally. I've never heard about the antibiotics. So I don't know what's going on here, I'll be honest with you, but I thought I'd just read it out. What do we have here? Okay, the only people left at the house were the following, and please correct me if I'm wrong. Well, that doesn't imply much confidence. Number 1, Noah Presgrove. Number 2, Jack Newton. Number 3, Mikey Lear. Number 4, Isaac Rojas. Number 5, Brylan Sweat. Number 6, Kaden Pressy. Number 7, Avery Combs. Number 8, Carter Combs. Number 9, Logan Jernigan. Number 10, Jasmine Milan. Number 11, TM. Possibly, can someone confirm? Who is TM? I can't think off the top of my head. What I would like to know is, how come Stephanie Milan's name isn't mentioned on this list? Oh, did Stephanie Milan leave earlier on? Monday, Sunday? Why did Jasmine remain? Why does Stephanie Milan's name never get mentioned? And some people could say, oh, because she wasn't at the party. Well, yeah, that would clear it up, wouldn't it? Problem is, Stephanie said herself that she was at the party, that there was no beef with Noah or anyone, and there was no fights, which is hard to believe considering what we've heard from elsewhere. Should we do a focused video on Stephanie? Might be a good idea. Anyway, this individual says, so who is the other individual who got their hand infected? Was it Isaac, Travis, or Jack? Jack? Well, you've just said it on the list. Number 2, Jack Newton. Weird. And Isaac, well, you mentioned Isaac names above. Why are we talking about Isaac getting their hand infected? The only hand that I saw damaged was Noah's knuckles, but that was supposedly taken Saturday or Sunday, and people said that was through punching or grazing against a door, right? And as for a bite mark, the only bite I ever heard of was the fishhook situation with Mikey and Noah, where Noah bit Mikey's finger because of being fishhooked. So those names aren't mentioned here. And why is this individual referring to Travis? Weird. And what else? The missing 2 people that should be on the list. Stephanie Milan. Was that what you mean? Stephanie Milan. And who else? Can't think on the spot. Maybe I've already mentioned the name. Next slide. I thought JB was LJ's boyfriend. Who the hell's JB? Justin Bieber? No. This guy, again, just speculation from following the case for so long. And then what's this? Live a life to be proud of, could be gone just like that. Rest easy, Noah. Unfortunately, it's kind of blurred out, but what it means is JJ Bumpass. Bumpass or bump ass? I don't know, some people may say an ass. But nevertheless, who is JJ Bumpass? The boyfriend to Logan Jernigan. JJ Bumpaz was with Logan and Kaden Pressy many weeks ago now. You'll see it documented on my channel for the timestamp on a Friday, many weeks ago, when Kaden Pressy received that Snapchat message from Jack Newton about, can we go over the news? Can you tell me the story again and let me know before I get upset? You remember that? Well, Kaden was eating out at a place, can't remember the name, with Logan and Logan's boyfriend JJ Bumpass. Thing is, JJ Bumpass is no longer with Logan. Okay? JJ Bumpass at one point said how I'm not going to help the family anymore. Now, JJ wasn't at the party supposedly, so how could he help anyway? What use would he be? And why was he so easily triggered or changed his mind? To be honest, it was explained in the background. I'm aware of that. I do acknowledge them for explaining it, another key person, but I can't remember. I think it was to do with girl trouble or girl situation, seeing someone else, claims made. Seems a bit petty, but nevertheless, messy times, messy situations. Person down below, the author says, and her boyfriend is who? JJ Bumpass? For perhaps the winning answer of the game. See, this is no game. This is no laughing matter. Well, yeah, there's light-hearted moments, but this is quite serious. What else? JJ Bumpass then? Was he there the whole night at the party on the eve of Noah's death? Well, from what I've heard in the background by the odd key individual, JJ Bumpass was never at the party. And from the looks of it, JJ Bumpass wasn't with Logan at the time of the party. They weren't together. It was actually afterwards. Can't remember if it was towards the end of 2023 or going into 2024. But JJ wasn't an item with Logan at the time. It'd explain why supposedly Logan and Noah got a bit fiddly at the party on the Sunday, I believe. Now, it's unfortunate for Nevaeh. Is it Nevaeh? Noah's girlfriend at the time. No one seems to acknowledge that, but anyway. What are the comments exactly? Best, we'll do it to the newest, so we get all of them. Excellent spite. When was this posted? I wonder. Jaded. Was it the guy who fought with Noah Presgrove over his phone being gone? Yeah, Mikey Lair. And Nana Lulu says no. But in terms of the bite mark, it would make sense with Mikey being bitten by Noah's teeth, right? Jaded says, how do you know then? Nana says it's explained in the actual post. That's just one of many. Read them. Right, so we're talking about JJ Bumpass being the one with the bloody knuckles and a bite mark. How do we know that, though? You know, it seemed a little bit cryptic, a game show up top. Why are we dilly-dallying about? Let's just get to the point or so. We can read on till the cows come home, but if there's no milk, where are we going? Lovey. It may have been deleted. This is super interesting. Who is JB again? I don't know how I forgot, but I did. Was he there that night morning? Wet guns. Looks like JJ Bumpass, somebody, Logan's boyfriend. Yes. At the time, but not at the time of the party, if I'm correct in saying. Lovey, oh, Noah Presgrove was with Logan Saturday night. Wonder if he found out and paid a visit to the party. I got chills. Jealousy. As said, from what I'm aware of, Logan wasn't with JJ at the time of the party. They were not an item. It was afterwards when they met up. So it wouldn't apply. Are they insinuating that he was the one that did that to Noah Presgrove? It sure sounds like that to me. JJ or Bumpass or Bumpass? I don't know. But if anyone knows, can please let me know. Jade, I can't find the post. Help me out. Well, it looks like we're not getting anywhere here. So as for JB, no answer to that. Who is JB? I can't think at the top of my head. Is it a female or a male? Anyone knows, leave it down below. That'd be appreciated. What else do we have? Observations. Let's see. Ooh, why is that popping on up? Is it a long one? Oh no. Well, it's not long. Not too bad. That's fine. I'm not going to get a dry throat. 9 hours ago by Work It Loud! Yeah, got to growl when doing the workouts. User opinion. ignoring the ATV side-by-side incident or accident, however you refer it as, is the highest tier of international willful blind spotting. Explain why this is not noted in this myriad. Oh, it reminds me of Miriam. Yeah, the viewer on the channel. Shout out to Miriam. Bonjour. What else do we have? List of possibilities. Would that be included in a sporting accident? Apparently not. Refusal to acknowledge the obvious is ridiculous. We know the side-by-side accident, well, incident maybe, happened from the first-person accounts. This was in the initial statements, followed by repetition of the same statements. There is a pattern. But what about the timings? Is there a pattern with the timings of when it actually did happen? Some said Sunday, some said Monday. Not great. Off the table. Nope. It's obvious. I'll explain. Caleb Newton's brother-in-law, Rosa Newton's brother, was killed in an ATV accident on March the 5th, 2023. Oh, is that an actual news article? I'll have to take a look at that. If you cannot understand that 10 to 40 miles per hour will turn you into mush, I cannot help you. Step off a tractor in a cornfield at 5 miles per hour and survey the damage. If you think they wore helmets and used harnesses, try to understand Oklahoma's helmet law, not required for those over 18. And these Gus would not wear helmets, I'm sure. There was also a boating accident on June 14th, 2020 that resulted in the death of a 7-year-old girl on Lake Wairika. Alcohol was involved. Insurance paid $70,000 on that to the family, if I'm not mistaken. Well, I've heard it was actually $100,000. Nevertheless, the parents' family of the 7-year-old girl, the daughter who died at the time, were friends with the boat driver known as Caleb Newton. And after the death of the 7-year-old girl, those supposed parents, the victim's family, remained friends with Caleb. Is that because of getting paid and given lots of money? I wonder. There's a news article. We've done a separate video analysis about that. Noah's ATV turned over and he was crushed, probably hit by roll bars, suspension, etc. A 4x4 weighs anywhere from 400 to 600 pounds and a side-by-side will weigh 1,200 to 1,700 pounds. I don't know for sure which form of a 4x4 it was, but let's just say it was only 400 pounds. Drop that from 1 foot above the chest and neck and see what happens. Now do it at any rate of speed and take into consideration the velocity required to roll one. Well, that's the thing. It depends if Noah was using a seatbelt or not. And they say the laws, people over the age of 18 don't have to wear one. Noah, 19 at the time, so maybe he wouldn't have worn one. To be honest, I would argue and say regardless of age, partygoers probably wouldn't have worn a seatbelt anyway because they probably wouldn't have been thinking, drunk and being a bit reckless as they are with other rules and situations. If they're fine and okay enough with drinking alcohol when they know they shouldn't be, then I'm sure they're probably not going to have a seatbelt on either, such as with a side-by-side. So by rolling it over, yeah, you could be flung out of the moving vehicle as it tips. And depending on how you land, the vehicle could land on you and crush you in a way. And I don't know if it was the private investigator, Kathy Bingham, or if it was one of those police, detectives, higher authorities, experts from Partners in True Crime that believed that Noah's body was crushed and he was laying down on his stomach and it crushed him on his back area. I mean, it could tie in with people's ideas of that's how Noah died, even though people, those from the party are saying that it was all okay. I mean, really, if the timing is all correct in order, that shower video, providing it's post side-by-side incident or accident, and that shower's happening after the side-by-side, and if the footage showed Noah and it was identifiable and he was alive, he was awake and not injured, no gore, no blood, he was perfectly okay, well then it would just counter all of this immediately. So sometimes footage like that is really needed and necessary, and it just so happened to be posted in the past, but no one got a screenshot, no one recorded or archived it. So that's very unfortunate, isn't it? Now, maybe sometime I could do a demonstration of a side-by-side rollover. I don't know if I've actually got a side-by-side present with me, but I could always look into it if that's what people want to see as a video. Be sure to let me know in the comment section. Drop a comment. Now, let's move on. From EgderSnyder.com. If you're considering purchasing a side-by-side, please be aware of the risk of having a rollover accident and the injuries most commonly suffered in them. Broken bones, traumatic brain injury, spinal cord injuries, even death. The most obvious scenario is this: he was injured severely in a rollover, he died, they cleaned him up and threw him out on the side of the road, hoping that it would be classified as a hit and run. They had to get rid of his clothes, and there was probably dirt, blood, ATV tire marks and other obvious indications that would be inconsistent with a hit and run on the highway. The damage is completely consistent with this and coincides with the shorts. Why was he not wearing shorts? He fell out of a damn truck. Do you really think he would be riding in the back of a truck, having been picked up by whoever, and stayed naked when there were shorts? The fact that he was still wearing 2 shoes is also a major indication that it was staged. A bunch of drunk kids made a series of decisions that resulted in this outcome. Oh, so it was staged. Right, let's put on mismatched shoes. Let's put on one of Kaden Pressy's shoes on Noah's body, so then the blame can be shifted towards Kaden Pressy. Oh yeah, that's a good idea. And then what? Later on, Renee Millan supposedly pushes the responsibility onto Kaden to take the alcohol back home, even though Kaden's of the wrong age, well, underage of drinking at the time. So if caught by police, could get in trouble there further. So is it put Kaden Pressy under the bus? All that. That's how it comes across here when you tie in with the other discussions from the past. Anyway, once decisions were made, the next steps were taken by the adults working with what they had. Being beaten to death by a group, golf club theory, etc. are lurid and have generated a lot of speculation. The national coverage pushed by this speculation has helped move this case forward, as it would have been buried otherwise. In my experience, the most obvious facts yield the most obvious conclusions. So there's a lot of talk there, to be honest. Excuse says, if it was just an accident, why all the different stories? That's what doesn't make sense. He was dumped on the side of the road like a piece of trash. He didn't deserve that. The stories don't matter. Read what I wrote. You're trying to find logic in a gerbil cage. It's not that complicated. If it's not that complicated, then why did you create paragraphs then? Couldn't it have been said in a couple of sentences if it's that simple? Bit of a contradiction there. And we've got this amputator bot. That sounds extremely dodgy. What the fuck is that? Looks like the original poster posted an AMP link. These should be load faster. Controversial. Right, that's weird. I've never seen that before. So, really, let's just focus on the side-by-side of it. Rolled over, and Noah somehow got crushed because of that, and everyone or the other people thought, oh yeah, Noah did that all by himself. Let's now get involved and incriminate ourselves and make ourselves a part of the case when we weren't a part of it to begin with. And if there was truly footage of the side-by-side rolling over, then no one should have had to have worried or done anything. If the cameras were actually working at the property and it only showed Noah walk on into the vehicle or get onto the vehicle and then roll it over, and it could be pushed, oh, it's all on him. Kind of self-inflicted. Not like done with intent from his perspective, but just recklessness and drunkenness. If you were pushing that idea, that concept, it was an accident. If it's an accident, there is no reason for anyone else to be concerned or worried. Unless everyone's thinking, oh, this will link back to the social hosting laws, so we best tidy up everything and try and move it on elsewhere. But we won't bother trying to hide the alcohol or any of that. We'll still keep that around, just like Renee Millan is. Oh yeah, don't clean up. There's no point. Police will already know you've had a party. But by the way, we're going to move those firearms anyway. Yeah, it just doesn't quite mix together quite well. The simple reality is, if Noah was in that side-by-side, rolled over, and somehow he died that way, yeah, other people could have been scared and worried, but if they were true friends, they would have just called the police and called ambulance service. But at the time when they claimed that Noah just walked off, based off that alternative concept, they weren't even worried enough to report him as an official missing person case. So they weren't willing to do that, and likely they weren't willing to report Noah at the correct time if they were present and if it was an accident. Normally when there is an accident, and it's not even an accident by the hands of you indirectly, but all by the actual victim themselves, kind of self-inflicted, yeah, you could be scared, you could be worried, but then why would you be thinking in the moment, right, I best start touching the body, I best start washing it down? What are you trying to do? You're trying to cover up that person's indirect self-inflicted death. It's as stupid as a person committing suicide and then you decide to try and change that from a suicide to a murder case, but you incriminate yourself and pin the blame onto you. What? That's how it comes across as. It's like there'll be other situations in this case where if there's nothing to hide, nothing to worry about, then why is action being taken and why is the resistance? Why is the threatening behaviour at times? Not necessary. People can be very defensive, push you away, push you back, scare you off, threaten you, silence you, pay you off because they are trying to hide something that they're responsible for. Who of an average or a certain IQ would think, right, there's an accident, now I'm going to incriminate myself because I feel like it's needed? What? Stupid. Not this post, but just the concept of, the reality of the situation. In terms of being crushed, that theme has been brought up before. Maybe I get a better idea if I do the demonstration myself, and I don't mean I'm going to get into a side-by-side and roll over, literally. I'll see if I've got like an item which I can recreate if possible. Latest article, that's by some AI thing, bit dodgy, we'll leave that for now. Goopy Girl, 19 hours. Hi all. I've been trying to follow Noah's case for a while. I was looking this morning, but I lost where it is, and I'm not even sure if it's in this group. Maybe someone can help me, please. There was a list of abbreviations for the names being used. He was at Noah's party. No, Presgrove is Noah, but there was a long list of names. So, yeah, it's still on Reddit, or at least it should be somewhere, unless it has been deleted. It is on this page, the last time I checked. I believe I might have done a video myself about it on my channel, so Goopy Girl, if you go to my channel, Warlike Ref, you might be able to find it there if you type in the correct words. Excellent Spite says the use of initials is no longer necessary on this subreddit, but there are several posts and comments with only initials because for a month or two we were under the impression that we had to use initials. I hope the link helped above. So that appears to be the link there. I don't know if it's 100% updated, but maybe I can take a look at it at another time. But what I can do is when we do videos and we go over the initials of people, I can always explain it on the spot. That's just a post there. Excellent Spite. Thoughts on this comment from Warlike Ref's video. Oh my god, Rebecca getting popular with a comment being reposted here. If Kaden left at 5:30 from the highway, then he was present for the death of Noah, whether sleeping or not. What? Based on his shoe being on Noah, it's interesting. What shoes did Kaden wear to see Noah's body? We could conclude a lot of things based on shoes alone. What shoes did Kaden wear when going to the scene? Well, from how it was worded, Kaden Pressy said he found one of his shoes, but then he spent 5 or 10 minutes, or 2 to 5 minutes, looking for his other shoe. He couldn't find it, so he just decided to hop on out and get in the vehicle. So he's probably had one shoe on, and the other shoe wasn't present. Wouldn't surprise me. If you're in a rush, it's whether you get cold feet, literally, or wet socks, that, or, oh, I'm not going to go down just because of that. I mean, people will look past and think, screw it, I don't care. I need to be there. I need to see what's happening. So, as for the shoe situation, I don't think it's too much of an issue. In terms of Noah wearing mismatched shoes, and one of which is Kaden's, was there an attempt at some point to stage it, to pin the blame on Kaden by some person doing foul play and changing shoes about? Well, if that was the case, we would have had to have gone from point A to point B and back and forth in between. Would that have been at the time of when Kaden was asleep at the party house and either Isaac or Brylan and Mikey switching places because at some point they were moving about? Maybe getting a hold of Kaden's shoe and deciding to go down to the scene and place it there. It just seems like a lot of work. Seems a bit unnecessary, but I don't know, if people aren't thinking on the spot, but they think about it later, they might feel, ooh, probably best go down there and adjust. It's not a fact, just a concept, a theory. I just need to go back over this because I know people comment on my channel and I do see them, but I don't remember seeing this comment by Rebecca Bailey on my channel. Unless it was on another channel, who knows. If Kaden left at 5:30, then he was present for the death of Noah. I don't understand that. Present for the death, the time of when Noah died, wouldn't make sense. Because Jack said it was 4 a.m. when Noah passed away. And Is Rebecca referring to 5:30 as in leaving the highway, or leaving the house to arrive at the highway? Because Kaden said himself he got to the highway at 5:20 or 5:21 and was there for 10 minutes. What do the comments have to say? Go to the newest. Madonna says Kaden could not have been part of the murder as he had a prior serious leg injury, recovering from surgery, the ACL and meniscus. That's why. He was sleeping on the couch and his shoes were off near to him. What the F was that guy holding a gun? That's Isaac Rojas. Yeah, the guy with the rifle. It was actually a 12-gauge shotgun. Had his face firmly fixed on Noah? He did not. That's untrue. There's only one reason a young bloke holds a rifle at a party with alcohol. Sus. We can't just focus in on Isaac. Okay, yeah, he's been, seen in the footage holding that gun. Doesn't look good. But what about all the other partygoers that had firearms as well? Why did they get a free pass? If Isaac is going to be questioned, all of them should be. Now, in terms of the body language and behaviour, maybe it's needed more than ever now for warlike ref to do that analysis of the Noah Presgrove, Brylan Sweat and Isaac Rojas situation on the outside, on the front patio under the overhanging roof. Maybe I do need to do a video about that as for the audio, because some people got a little bit hysterical and misunderstood the situation. There was a big misunderstanding with the language, the wording used by Isaac Rojas at the time, but more specifically the eye contact. It was not looking towards Noah, it was looking towards Brylan Sweat. So I'll have to add that to the list. These three are sus. Mikey was on the couch sleeping. Brylan was on the floor. Isaac was on the single lounge chair when Kaden fell asleep at 5:15 in the morning. Kaden said Jack flew through the door saying Noah is dead. Kaden in an interview said that the three guys were in different places when Jack burst in and woke them up. No, that's incorrect. Only two of the guys were in different places. The one who was on the floor replaced the one that was on one of the chairs. Okay? Not three people, but two. And that was between Mikey and I think Isaac. And if not Isaac, Brylan. So there's a bit of a mix-up here with what this person's saying. They had changed positions in the time Kaden was asleep. They would have had access to Kaden's shoe when he was asleep. So basically, to summarise it, this person's kind of getting at what I mentioned a bit earlier on. But that would have been between 2:42 in the morning and then the next time being 5:15 in between that. More than enough time to do things. Jack and those guys jumped in Jack's vehicle to go look at Noah. Brylan burst into tears seeing Noah's body on the road. That's incorrect once again. It wasn't Brylan bursting into tears at the scene. It was Isaac Rojas. That's what Kaden said himself. So we need to lock on a little bit because we're going a bit off track. Blonde says Ellie needs to give an update on this case. Everyone is hyper-focusing on the wrong things. Everyone. Hyper-focus. I wouldn't agree with that. Because when warlike ref demonstrates balance, warlike ref can focus but not hyper-focus in many different angles and perspectives. Other people may start a witch hunt. Other people may lock onto the drama complex, the situations there. Yeah, I can look at that. But I can also do a full-on timeline time-lapse. I can do bits and bobs along the way. So, all under control here. Anyway, don't lose focus on the fact that family and friends have no answers, nor have there been any known progress in this case. But you know what the problem is, Blonde? And that's not an insult, that's just because your username's called Blonde, just in case anyone gets the wrong idea, okay? It's the fact that some months ago, the People article that reached out and did an interview with Noah Presgrove's family, some of the family members said, and it was even quoted in the title of the article, that we are much closer to the truth now. The truth is closing on in. Well, what's happened in recent time? F all. What was mentioned by some of the family members? Ashley Chadwick and Robin Smith in Partners in True Crime last interview podcast. Oh, we've got no updates, no big news, police haven't reached out to us. So many months ago, we're closer to the truth, and now nothing's happened. And nothing happened back then. So why was it mentioned that you're closer to the truth? It sounds like a contradiction. Bit problematic, isn't it? Anyway, let's move on. Where are we at? No answers, nor been any progress in the case. Let's be careful to not let the minutiae distract from the bold facts, though they definitely make for good discussions and are interesting. This case seems lost. It's been over a year with nothing, and that should not happen. We all should keep discussing. I think pressure should be applied to LE for no updates, answers. Someone knows something. This case seems lost. Now, I can't say it myself because it would be considered biased and narcissistic, but I'm going to say it anyway. I would argue, and people don't have to agree, I would argue and say that this case is not as lost since Warlike Wrath has arrived. And I don't mean in terms of just solving it just like that and getting the true answers, but at least clearing up the clutter, making sense of what's going on, breaking it down bit by bit to make more sense of it, using common sense, adding on possibilities to get a true understanding as to what could have happened, how it could have happened, when it could have happened, and who by. And to be honest, we saw up top this person typing in capital letters in the name of we the people. Some of the stuff mentioned here was incorrect for sure, because I do remember what Kaden said in the interview, and some of this is slightly, mistyped. So I just did a little correction up above. That's not done in a negative way. That's just done to be consistent and to let other people know in case people get the wrong idea, read it and think that's the truth when it's not. And then it gets into a messy situation. So I think it's a little bit more under control now than what it may have been some months ago. And, even when I first arrived on this case, like 3 months ago, I wouldn't say it was all under control then because I was just trying to get an understanding of everything. So it was like a slow process. But I'd say in a better spot now than back then. And the more one can build on that, then maybe some more conclusions, predictions can be made along the way. Now, sometimes the lack of my conclusions or the lack of my opinions, like some people like to point out, could simply highlight how lost or complex this case really is. But I would actually say in counter it, it's actually a good form of self-control that I'm not spazzing out all over the place, coming to a definitive conclusion immediately, because that would be rushed, that would be unnatural, and that may seem a little bit biased. It could seem there's a bit of an agenda. I mean, yeah, There are people with time that are making bold claims that, Jack Newton's responsible, Avery's responsible. And they're going like really all in with like one word or a couple word lines and sentences without really explaining much behind it. Now, they could be right at the end of the day, but still, I wouldn't like to go all in on that because it can backfire at times. I guess it all depends what position you are in. And because I'm on YouTube, because I'm a content creator, poor language or wording, it can backfire and it can have major consequences, as we've seen with other people with time. Got to keep it somewhat under control. Intrepid says, I've also wondered what shoes he wore to the scene. I can't imagine he went out with no shoes or just one. That would be very odd. Plus he drove. You can drive without shoes, I'm sure. People can drive with bloody flip-flops flipping all over the place. Flip-flops can be more dangerous than no shoes at all, because if you think about it, the way the flips and the flops, or the flops flip, I can't remember which way around you say it, could get stuck under the pedal and it's jammed. That's problematic. I mean, at the end of the day, desperate times, desperate measures. Hopping around with one shoe or like Long John Silver, peg leg pirate, I don't think it's the oddest thing in the case when there's many other strange things going on. I would argue and say that Jack Newton stating it was 4 a.m. when Noah passed away is a lot more strange and odd than Kaden Pressy's shoe situation. Oh my God, no shoe. What am I gonna do? What about 4 a.m., the timestamp of Jack saying, that's when Noah passed away? Who would say that? Why would they say that? And it's not really been brought up since, at least publicly. So I think there's more focus elsewhere. This person says he probably grabbed any shoe with the boys he was with. I'm not worried about 6 a.m. I'm worried about the hours of like 3 to like 5-ish. Fair enough. That's likely when Noah died, and supposedly at 4 in the morning from what Jack said. And I keep going back to that because it's a very, 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 very important point, a very important timestamp, and it kind of contradicts everything else that Jack said after that, about the 6 in the morning timestamp. This person says, that means that the shoes that Noah had on his body or were brought to the scene, whatever, those 2 shoes had to be from somebody who didn't need them, either sleeping or awake but not wearing shoes at the time, or in dark case, someone involved offered up one of their shoes. Imagine 6 in the morning was frantic and people were just trying to get dressed to leave, so he wore whatever. Imagine 6 in the morning, people being frantic. Why are we talking about 6 in the morning? Are you referring to Kaden Pressy? Because Kaden Pressy said this happened at 5:15. Add on maybe 5 or 10 minutes of fiddling about with clothing. Still, it's nowhere near 6 in the morning, so what the hell? Excellent. Do you recall who was with him in the truck? I believe he said Jack and one other boy. Why haven't we heard what he saw Noah wearing at that time? So what's excellent spike going on here? I personally don't know. If we're referring to the Kaden Pressy situation at 5:15 when the news came out at the house by Jack, Jack shot back off to the highway and then the guys followed. The rest of the girls remained at the party house in the kitchen crying, and Kaden got in his red Cherokee vehicle. And as for the passengers, Brylan Sweat, Isaac Rojas, and Mikey Leu, however you say the name, went down there. Okay? As for Jack, when he got to the house to tell people the news and then went back to the highway, was he the only one in his vehicle? I don't know, maybe. And as well, what vehicle was it which Jack was driving from highway to house to house to highway? Was it his own pickup truck or was it his side-by-side? Does anyone know? No Concentrate says, I think I read him stating that he could only find one of his shoes. Yes, when he went out that early morning, but I'm not 100% sure. Then again, why would he put one of his shoes on Noah's body if he was at the scene of a murder? So it does sound like it's going across the theme, not what I'm saying, but how you could infer from this conversation that supposedly Kaden Pressy decided to take one of his shoes off and put it on Noah's body. Yeah, we're going to that level again. It would make more sense for a person to put someone else's shoe on that body to try and pin the blame elsewhere. Now, could you say someone tried throwing Kaden under the bus by putting on a mismatched shoe on Noah, which links back to Kaden? But it would be pointless pinning the blame on Kaden when throughout the time of Noah's disappearance from the property supposedly and the death of him, Kaden was asleep all that time and others have backed it up, or the odd person has. So if you're going to pin the blame on someone, there's no point pinning the blame on someone that's got a solid or somewhat of a strong alibi. It's just pointless. So it refers back to the original story, which was claimed by Jack Newton. Anyone else in between can't remember. That after Avery rejecting Noah as in, can I sleep in your bed? No, you can't. Then Noah supposedly walks off to cool off. Would he have been that triggered? I find it hard to believe considering that Saturday night Noah was able to sleep in Avery's bedroom on the floor. Why would Monday be any different? Is it because Noah was sore? Uncomfortable after that side-by-side rollover, so he wanted to relax better, get a better sleep, recover, a bit restless? One way of looking at it, maybe. Jack said that Noah also went into Logan's bedroom and asked if he could sleep in her bed. How true is that? Who knows, but that's what Jack said, more so in recent time. A new thing being added to the full story of events. Why is it only being added now? Maybe done with intent to cause a distraction from elsewhere. Because no reference was made about Jack and the argument with Noah, the more aggressive one, on the Monday morning, which is weird. This guy says, people didn't question why Jack would put his shorts on Noah, so let's use the same for Kaden. I'm just trying to think the fact that it was 2 different shoes on could indicate so much. And the shoes would be placed to show that he was walking. I still believe Noah could have put them on himself as well. Well, if Noah was to put the shoes on himself, then it implies that maybe Noah intended on covering more distance on foot, possibly leaving or attempting to leave the party house, whether people agree with it or not. Because take in consideration some of the party footage from outside on the patio, the front patio, Noah wasn't wearing socks, wasn't wearing shoes. That might be because of the temperature and heat, but still, he was on the patio like a concrete floor, I guess somewhat safe to walk on in bare feet with no shoes, but to then put shoes on afterwards, supposedly, mismatched ones, is that because Noah just couldn't find his shoe at the time? Or because he was half drunk, so he wasn't quite thinking straight? Or there was no time to mess about, need to get out, need to cool off, need to get away from this place? Who knows? Desperate times, desperate measures, because earlier on, Noah asked a couple of people, could he be taken home? Maybe because he wanted to, it was the right time then, or that's how he felt, but he was turned down. So maybe he finally had enough and thought, you know what, I'm sick of this, I'm just going to go myself and walk or find something else. It's just one way of looking at it. Desperate times, desperate measures. You know, if you want to get away, you're probably not going to walk off into the dark. If you need to get away, you might walk into the darkness. It might be better off there than it is where you currently are. If you got a 0.1% chance, that's better than a 0% chance or just not doing anything, right? Different ways of looking at it. Anything else? Where was Noah's shoes where they were recovered? That's another red flag. A lot of Noah's things weren't recovered, right? So that then brings me back to thinking someone else put the shoes on him. The main question should be, where is Noah's other Adidas shoe? Not the one on Noah's body at the time, but wherever else it was. Probably at the party house. Was it then thrown away, buried? I wonder. If Noah's shoes were recovered, then it's less suspicious. Not been found since. The wallet hasn't either. The hat supposedly hasn't. The shirt, from what the family said, hasn't been retrieved either. So yeah, a bit odd, isn't it? If they weren't, it's hiding evidence to me and the shoe situation becomes more suspicious. Fair enough. But just to refer back to up here, people didn't question why Jack would put his shorts on Noah's body. Well, the reason why people haven't questioned that is because more people were questioning why would Jack end up picking the supposed white shorts off the middle of the road, folding them up in the back of his truck, and then either doing it himself or being ordered to then fold them up by the side of Noah's body on the hard shoulder. That's more questionable, and the reason why that's more questionable is because it actually came from Jack's own words. He moved the shorts. But did Jack state that he was the one to replace the black shorts for the white shorts on Noah's body? No, that has never been mentioned. That's why we're not questioning that, because there's not much to question, because there's no material regarding that part. But there is supposed material, and there has been some extensive discussions on Facebook and even on my own channel, All Under Control, where there's that supposed hidden recorded footage of after when Kaden left, so around 5:30 onwards, I'm guessing. There's hidden recorded footage of at least 4 people in view near to Noah's body, and a individual, described as a police guy, but some have counted it in the background, said it was someone else, ended up, no reference to Jack though, a person removed the shorts and put on another pair. But then why would they end up in the middle of the road? Did the video cut out? Did anything else happen after that? It's weird, but we can question that, but you can only question it so much, because then you've got also question the validity, reliability of the actual video footage, which we've never seen, but it's been talked about in the background, and there's some key individuals on the Facebook page that have seen it themselves, or know people that have copies of those videos. Which is all very interesting, right? But no mention of Jack being the one to take shorts and replace them. So there's no reason to question Jack about that when it hasn't happened or we haven't heard of it just yet. But we've definitely heard Jack from his own mouth, the horse's mouth, saying he at least moved the white shorts from the middle of the road and brought them to his truck and then picked them back up once again, handling them and folded them near to the body. Whether that's true or not, that's what Jack said himself, hence why we focus more on that than the shorts being pulled off and replaced. Right? Should be all under control. If you watch my channel, it'll make more sense. Let's move back to this. Right now, it's not inherently suspicious. It's very easy to believe he grabbed 2 different shoes. Also very easy to believe that a murderer grabbed 2 different shoes. The shoe situation is specifically sketchy because the crime scene has 2 different reports. 1 shoe versus 2 shoes. It doesn't matter because at the end of the day, if he had 1 shoe on or mismatched shoes, it's still weird that between 5 and 6-ish or 7-ish. What? Wait, hold on. The shoe situation has 2 different reports at the crime scene. I mean, what are we talking about here? 2 different reports. For most part of it, with the exception of Jack, it's been very consistent that Noah was found with mismatched shoes. Even when Kaden said he was clothed, as for the black shorts, but Tyler Hardy, the news articles, the police, the autopsy report stated that Noah was naked but still had mismatched shoes on. The mismatched shoes was consistent across all boards of individuals for many months. For nearly a year, it was stated consistently that Noah was found wearing mismatched shoes dead on the highway. Some say naked, others say clothed. The clothing situation we've already looked into extensively, look back for reference there. But the moment it changed, that Noah had 1 shoe on, as for the other, not around, missing supposedly. That was mentioned by Jack Newton. That was mentioned some weeks ago by Partisan True Crime Podcast when they interviewed Jack Newton. Why would Jack Newton all of a sudden state that there was only 1 shoe on Noah's body when everyone else and all the other witnesses and the official report, the autopsy, said mismatched shoes, a pair of mismatched shoes were on Noah's body? Why would Jack suddenly now change it up when everything's stacked against him? Or is it a last-ditch desperate attempt to try and put that agenda across that it's a hit and run? Because discussions online have stated at times during hit and runs, if people are wearing shoes, those shoes can go flying off. I guess at the end of the day, it depends how tight they are or if they're slip-ons or not. Noah wasn't wearing slip-on shoes, supposedly. As for the Hey Dude shoe, I don't know if that was a slip-on or not. But even if they were laced or Velcro, whatever, if they're not tightly fastened, they can still fall off with a form of force, or if they're pulled off, right? But, did Jack at any point look online at those discussions of, that's how you would stage a hit and run, that's what would actually happen? Did Jack suddenly think, that's actually a good idea, I think I'll add that into my story next time round? I mean, there are people that lurk on videos, online, on pages, and they might do their own research. How to cover up a murder, how to cover up this, how to pin the blame elsewhere, learning along the way from some random civilians online. What? It's like we're telling the killers how to do their job. Oh, no. Anyway, that's not literal within this case, but you could base it off that with certain theories and outcomes, okay? Let's move on. Remember too that Kaden's report of the body isn't the first person to see it. There were truckers and Jack Newton, and then more changes to the scene after Kaden arrived. Yeah, well, we've discussed that already. So yeah, the shoes are definitely sketchy. But the shoes have remained consistent all the way through. From what I've seen, from what Kaden said, from what the autopsy report said, from the news articles, etc. It was only Jack in recent time that decided to change it and say there was only 1 shoe on Noah's body. Bit weird, isn't it? But to be honest, the shoe debacle, there's a lot of debacles going about, but the shoe situation kind of reminds me to the Dylan Rounds case where for some reason different people in the desert area of Lucin, Utah, or Montello, Nevada. Don't worry, my pronunciation is all under control. I know how to pronounce it, in case anyone's wondering. I spent 2 years practicing. That was just done in a light-hearted way for those impetuous cretins that do not understand. But, from desert to desert area, Nevada or Utah, it's the fact that these people were found with no shoes on or walking by with no shoes on. Chase Venstra, did he have any shoes on? Did he have 1? Did he have none? What a mess. What a mess then. Why are we getting PTSD flashbacks from all these situations back then, which translate the same way to this case in a completely different area, a different year, different location, but still, certain issues. Anyway, this is just one part of the mysterious case. It's so heartbreaking. Even a few answers could help the family, but as far as right now, they're left with nothing. But supposedly, some of the family members also said that they're closer to the truth, at least from the People article and the interview there, and now they're left with nothing. So they've actually gone backwards. That's how it would be implied. I also was thinking no one mentioned if he pooped, shat, or pissed himself. All the me say it was massive injury and massive force, so instant death means you shit right there, right then. Lol. I don't know. I feel like there's another huge clue. And then it comes back to the eating situation. What did Noah eat at the party? Did he have a yogurt? A yogurt? Same thing. Did he have ramen noodles or just noodles in general? Yes or no? We don't go into the cooking show situation just yet. Chef Raph hasn't entered the kitchen. Not yet. Excellent. I thought I read that as well. So he went barefoot to the highway. He wouldn't, but I thought this comment was interesting. I mean, even if he did, does it really matter? Let's check the responses. If he was going to see if Noah really was laying dead out there, would he care about shoes? Exactly. Would be interesting to hear him clear it up then. I wouldn't think the way I interpreted the comment was focusing on the shoes as such a mystery, as well as the shorts, how Kaden said that when he saw Noah on the highway, he was wearing his black shorts. Could this be a perception memory error because he remembers Noah wearing black shorts that night, so his mind is mistaken for that? Well, Kaden had enough time to go to sleep in between and still recall the black shorts, so could you say that's a little bit more consistent or what? So his mind is mistaken that because him saying Noah had shorts on and him being without shorts and unfound is a huge reason for a lot of speculation and how opinions were formed. But let's not forget then that hidden recorded footage at the scene of the highway where there's supposedly 4 individuals in sight and one of which decides to replace the black shorts for white shorts. Let's not forget that, right? Oh no, if I click that it'll go all dodgy. Never mind. I made a comment, shoes can indicate who is actually present. Right, we're not going to go through all that because basically we've seen that before. Right. Is that enough now? Thoughts on this comment? Uh-oh. What's going on here? Posted on Warlike Wrath. Oh, Skippy! Popular as well, showing up on here with the Warlike Wrath exclusive badge emoji for a certain amount of time as being a member on the channel. So shout out to Skippy. 21 hours again. I recently read that trolling is a form of jealousy, and jealousy is a good indication that you are doing things the right way. People never get jealous of losers. Warlike Ref, you're doing great with your coverage on this case. As for Justin, his questions and investigation have gotten too close to the truth maybe. May not even realise it. The guilty locals are feeling the heat and are trying to discredit him. Trolls smell the havoc and start their own attacks, disguising themselves as posters who care about this case. So shout out to Skippy. Appreciate that. I mean, yeah, sometimes trolling or resistance is a form of people getting too close to the truth, that they push back, fight back, yeah. But then other times it's just because people are knobheads and messing about. I saw it extensively in the past when it was with random civilians. A few quick questions here. Pure says, I think there's a lot of truth to this post. Small towns are truly funny places, and I tend to think that quite a few people know exactly what happened to Noah. They're covering up for whoever killed him, possibly out of fear for their own lives. I don't think the Oklahoma police will ever do anything to bring justice to Noah or his family because they're probably related to the killer or killers. They really need to bring in the FBI and get the case solved. There's a killer or killers walking around free. Who's to say they won't kill again? Well, if it's all down to a party situation, I mean, at least from the last party of Avery's, no reports of anyone dying, so that's something at least. Wet guns. Wet, interesting. I wonder why the FBI has been so hands-off. Well, from what the family have said, is that they can only step on in when there is like an important lead or go ahead. And I don't think that's directly initiated by the LE themselves, because if it is, well then the LE can just simply say, well no, we're not going to give the thumbs up because we don't want the FBI to come on in and do the job for us, because then they'll solve it probably. Excellent says, my thoughts exactly. A case can go cold after 1 year. After this case could have been solved first day. I mean, the Dylan Rounds case had gone on for over 2 years and eventually it was resolved, so there's some hope maybe. Lovey, so true. Is that pretty much it? No Presgrove family we've seen that one before. Partners in True Crime announcement coming soon. That is old news, but this person decided to post it here just as a heads up for those that weren't aware of it beforehand. Dove hunt situation. Yeah, we'll leave it there for now so we don't go too deep. All in all, the odd important question mentioned, and even some of my viewers getting a literal shout out within a shout out video of a shout out post on Reddit. Wow, a lot going on there. Hopefully you found this video somewhat interesting. Feel free to like and share the video so other people see it. There's more awareness spread with my videos, the coverage, clearing up some mistakes made along the way too, because that's important, and as well keeping the case alive. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time whenever that is. Goodbye, good night for now.